Hello, this is leverard, and the topic of today's video is judgment, or maybe more specifically, self-judgment. Many of us are plagued with this process that we go through of judging ourselves. And much of it comes from perhaps a confusion, or at least some kind of sense of our own lack of self-worth. And it doesn't mean that we don't have any self-worth. It just means that there are places within our self-worth where we look at ourselves differently. We look at ourselves in a way that doesn't really have our highest good in mind. So one of the things that happens is that when we find something about ourselves that we don't love, or we haven't brought into love yet, and this goes back to the conversation of, when you hear someone say that a person doesn't love themselves, well, that's not really true. I think we all love each other. We all love ourselves. We have experiences of loving others and being loved by others, but there are certainly places in all of us parts that we haven't loved yet. And it's those parts that we haven't loved yet that become the source of our self-judgment. And when we judge ourselves, what we're really doing is we're just saying, I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. I'm flawed. I'm messed up in some way. We all have those things. We all have flaws. It doesn't make us any worse than anybody else because everybody has flaws. Some of us have flaws that are more visible than others. Some of our flaws are more external, or with our size of our body, or our weight, or our shape, or too much here or too little there, or all this stuff that we make up in our minds. And then we do this interesting little trick with ourselves, and that is that we believe so strongly in our self-judgment that we unknowingly actually create the context for other people to judge us. And yes, there is an element of them judging us, but in many cases, they are also reflecting our self-judgment back to us, because that's what we've really set up in that exchange of energy, in that exchange of words or even thoughts. Something that happened to me when I was a young child, I was a little heavier than other guys my age. And I remember being at a friend's house one day, and he had a cousin over, and it was somebody that I didn't know. And she made some kind of a comment to me about, well, how much do you weigh? And I think I responded 90 pounds. And she said, what is that, your left leg? And, that comment really stung. And I was thinking about this not long ago, how that really stayed with me for much of my life and became a judgment that I applied to myself. I've only since very recently been able to let go of that. But so there was an element of my own judgment of myself, which she picked up on consciously or subconsciously. But there also was most likely something within her where she did not have a good body image of herself. And so she was projecting her own self-judgment out. Now, we project it out in two ways. We project it out by things we say, but we project it out by just the energy that we put out related to it. So that created a situation for me and for many of us where our self-judgment, where it starts out as an opinion, over time becomes a fact and actually a truth that we have decided is true. Now that's truth with a small t, not a capital T. And so that is a truth that we are living by, but it's not true in the greater sense of the word. But this is one of the things we do in our minds. We create absolutes. And once we've created an absolute, and then that becomes a judgment, there's something else that happens that we may or may not be aware of. And that is that we begin to close off certain possibilities in our lives, because we will make the inference from the fact that I am this way to the idea that, well, what that means is that I can't have this, that, or something else. And then before you know it, the minute you block off one possibility, you've automatically blocked off the hundreds, thousands, millions of ones that could be associated with that. So now those things cannot become a possibility for you. Those potentials are stopped from coming into your life. So it's really very important that we understand that self-judgment is not just a habit, but it also has consequences for us that we create ourselves. So how do we stay out of self-judgment? What is it that we could actually do to help ourselves be out of self-judgment? Well, so one thing we can do is that we can realize is that self-judgment is only our opinion. Now, it's a strong opinion, obviously, but it's only an opinion. And because that self-judgment only comes from a place of comparison. For me, as if every other kid was my size and weight, there would have been nothing to judge. That just would have been considered, quote, normal. But that was normal for me. It just wasn't normal for the girl that made the comment to me. It was something different for her. So the way that we can help ourselves to stay out of judgment is by getting out of this place of absolutes. And absolutes are where we decide that things are right or wrong. Now, yes, there are certain things that we know are right or wrong, but there's a lot longer list of rights and wrongs that we carry with us. Needing to be right about things is actually a what's called their survival context. And because if we can't be right about something, then we don't feel like we have any control over it. And so it's really important for us to be right about whatever it is that we believe. And of course, one of the things we'll be right about is our self-judgment. So whatever we've judged ourselves as becomes a part of our subconscious makeup. It becomes part of our limiting beliefs. And so it's those limiting beliefs that are actually what's cutting off possibility for us. So one of the first things we can do, like I said, is simply to get out of this habit of having everything have to be absolute. For some of us, it makes us feel more comfortable to be able to say it's this or it's that, but it's really not comfortable at all. It's really more of a habit, a habitual way of thinking, a habitual way of looking at the world that has decided that there's something wrong with us. So if that's you, I've got some really good news for you. Because every person on this planet, the ones who were here before, the ones who are coming, share something in common. And that is that we all have at least one thing that we think is wrong with us. And we don't know whether it's actually true or it's just our opinion. But in many, many cases, it's just our opinion. So just as you've heard a phrase that said, your opinion of me does not matter or is none of my business. Well, in some cases, your opinion of you is none of your business because it's just an opinion. But when you repeat it to yourself over and over again, over a long period of time, it starts making its way from subconsciously from an opinion to being a truth, to being an absolute for you. And those are very hard to let go of once they get locked into place, once they get all of that cement around them and that cement hardens and nothing can move. But there are ways to be able to actually get rid of the cement and be able to be free and free from those self-judgments. And that really is all about awareness. So every time you become aware of a self-judgment, then you have an opportunity to question it. Question your belief, question if it's actually true. And then if it is true, if you believe it's actually true, then go to the next step and decide, does it really matter? How important is it? Is it so important that I should stop living parts of my life in order to be loyal to it, to hold on to it? I think you'll find that most of these things, most of these opinions, most of these self-judgments are simply not worth the energy that they drain from us. And so each time you find something and become aware of it, now you have an opportunity to do something with it. Awareness always precedes a choice, and a choice gives you an opportunity to shift something in your life and move forward in your life in a different way, where you're open to new things and new possibilities. And that's what creates the potential for more and more joy in your life. And one of the things that people do when they start talking to themselves this way, when they do self-judgment, is they're really actually not understanding the truth of who they are. And if you know me and you know my work, one of the things I love to do is help people discover their truth and then learn how to speak it to themselves first. As you may know, I'm the author of the book, How Speaking Your Truth Could Save Your Life and How It Saved Mine. And I work with people to help them discover their truth and start to be able to speak it to themselves. And once you really understand what's true, and now you evaluate your opinions that brought you into self-judgment, you can let those go and create a new story by speaking the actual truth of who you are to those opinions that you have created, formed stories about, and locked into your subconscious mind as limiting beliefs. If this is something that you struggle with and would be interested in some support, I would be happy to have a conversation with you about how we can get to work and support you in learning to discover your own truth and then speak your truth to yourself, and then be able to evaluate your opinions based upon what is actually true about you. As always, thank you very much for watching. I wish you a tremendous day, and we'll be back again soon. Thank you.